Good morning. So in my last video, excuse me, I was exploring what I could do with highlighters. So, the Neon Dreams one. It was not my favorite piece that I worked on, but I just wanted to experiment. So now I've gone into making some postcards. And I like the fact that they're very retro looking. So that's what I'm going with. Even though I'm using highlighters, which is not really retro necessarily. Although, I suppose 80s is a little bit retro. But I thought, for vintage postcards and things like that, it has that softness to it that I really do enjoy. And especially if you do it on watercolor paper, because it's not a blindingly white paper, it just lends itself to a more softer look all around. So these are a couple that I've done so far. Like I said in my last video, the highlighter one, you can treat these as watercolors and they work just as well. It's a little bit tricky because you have to lay it down onto either glass or plastic palette first, or on your craft mat. You could do it on there. But what I've done is I've put a coating of Mod Podge on top of it so that, if it gets handled, because it's not going to be in an envelope, obviously. So when it gets handled or if it gets wet, it's not going to smear everything. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what I've done. So what I've used here is hold on a second, the Hampton Arts clear stamps. It's the flamingo and the pineapple one, well, obviously. And then I've just used my, what is this one? Inkadinkadoo alphabet stamp. So that is what I've done. And then here I've used my, I think it's by Anna Griffin. It's one of her multi-pack sentiments. So I thought it was kind of different, and flamingos are fabulous. So I went with it and, tried different things. So this one was more, in retro feeling because it's 80s. Do you remember, all the 80s movies, Miami and all that stuff? So that's what this reminds me of. This one is just a nice retro feeling because of the colors in and of itself. And I wanted to do another one with just pineapples. I just thought it would be fun. So all I do is so get yourself one of these or just water jar with some regular watercolor brushes. It doesn't matter. But this is a little bit simpler to work with. So all I'm doing is I'm going to use a stencil. And in this case, I'm going to use this one. I just have a glass mat. It's one of those Making Memories glass mats. I found one at my, oh my goodness, Value Village. I thought, oh, okay, I like that. So all I do is I lay down some color. And I just have a piece of paper underneath it so I can actually see. It's raised up on little rubber feet, so you can do that easily. But I need quite a bit of color. I'm not sure why that one's not working as well. Now, some of these highlighters are the pastel ones that I got at the dollar store. So, but by all means, use whatever highlighter you have on hand. I'm just going to do a mixture of pinks and peaches and stuff. I wish I had more highlighters, but I do not. That's pretty much all I thought I had more. Like when I was doing my video the other day, it's like, okay, I must have more somewhere. But apparently I do not. So at this point, I just make sure I have some on hand. And then I'm just going to start coloring them. Random spots, and add a little bit of water to it. This is watercolor paper. It's not going to be very pristine looking. If you like very white paper, like cardstock on the background, this is probably not going to be your favorite kind of thing. But I kind of like it because it's got that retro look to it. So, and you can mix these colors up. If you look at it, it's really, it does end up looking quite nice. And these stencils are very easy to use, obviously. I mean, most of us have a lot of stencils, especially background stencils, you know, for journaling and not journaling, art journaling. Yes, that's the word. And for some reason, there's no water coming out. Okay, there we go. These brushes are a little bit finicky. I like them, but they're finicky. My goodness. So there's some color. See how nice and soft that is? I really like that. Now you could probably get that with some of your watercolors if you have the right watercolor palette, but I find they're a bit too pigmented in many cases, so I don't really enjoy that too much. But this is just enough color. Oh, sorry for the squeakies. I guess that's one of the downfalls, but I don't even know if that one, okay, that one is depositing color. Sometimes I'm not sure because it's on the glass, right? So again, you can mix them. I just thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit different. And you can do anything. I mean, you can make it very graphic if you wanted to. You know, if you had squares and circles, whatever the case may be. You can get very precise. I just sort of go by feel and how I think it should feel, not so much as, you know, how it should look. I do have sort of a plan in my head, not always, but sort of. But I like it because it is very similar to watercolor. So when you overlap them, you have darker spots and lighter spots and things like that. So I really like the peach and the pink together in that one. So I would just tend to leave it like that. And some of this is a bit wetter than others, and I want it to dry it sort of fairly quickly, and I don't want to have to do it while I'm doing the video, so I'm just going to do it this way. So now for the pineapple. So these are the Hampton Arts. They're the 3 different layers, which I like, don't get me wrong, but who's got time to do 3 different layers? Or who wants to do 3 different layers? I don't. So I am just going to do my pineapples. So in this case, I want quite a few of them because I want it to be an overall kind of feeling to it. It's probably going to be a little bit random. Odd numbers are probably your best bet. And if you go off the page, it's even better because then you have that feeling of a repeat pattern. See, now I've run out of space. Okay. You know what? Right there. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. That's fine. I'm not worried about it. And then I'm just going to do my green for the top part. That's it. I don't even know where, I don't remember where I got this from, but it's a nice bright, like a mango kind of yellow, which is perfect for this kind of card. I thought it'd be very, I don't know, kind of a summery kind of vibe. And then this is just a Brenda Walton Citrus Green. I don't know. I like it. It's one of my favorite greens. And these are pigment ink pads. It's okay if you go off the page. You can have a piece of scrap paper underneath if you really wanted to, obviously. Let's see how that's sort of coming together. I kind of like that. In this case, it's an awful lot of pineapples, but that's okay. It's cute. You know, pigment inks, they're easy to clean off. You just give it a wipe and it comes right off. So this is just tissue. You can use a baby wipe if you wanted to. And then for the next layer, I just use my StazOn ink. because I don't want to do 3 layers. It's not only time consuming, I just don't see the point of using all that ink. So just go straight to the end. I don't have the patience. It's okay if you're off a little bit. It's pretty forgiving. I don't think it matters overly much. I like the graphic design of it. Excuse me. It's really cute. So I had said for January it was going to be correspondence for my word of the month. I only did twice. So there's that. And you know what? I think it's because, I don't know, maybe postcards will do the better trick for me. Just a little note, I think a letter sometimes is a bit much because I don't know what to say. I don't know. Like, I lead a boring life, basically, as you all know. So, you know, I don't have a whole lot going on, so I don't have very much to say in letters. So I figure a postcard, thinking of you, have fun, bye-bye. You know, maybe keep it simple. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway. Oh, no, I'll make this. Hold on. There we go. But you can see, you know, that's kind of cute. And if you wanted to, you could do a sentiment down the center. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Some of these I haven't used yet, so they're kind of stuck on this plastic. Sometimes I can't get them off and it rips them, so I just cut around it and then I use it while it's still in the plastic instead of ruining the whole thing. It drives me crazy when it does that. Oh, this one I already used. I don't know, this might be too big. Yeah, it might be. But that doesn't mean you can't offset them a little bit, you know. Where is my K? There it is. What I like about this stamp set is that it has so many different types of, not fonts, but, you know, it looks kind of cool. But you can offset these in a certain way. I mean, it'll be easier once you can do thanks. Well, you know, there's that, but I don't know. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, we can always make another one. I am not going to worry about that. All right. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we can always do thank you. So it's just a question of going right over top. And you can always use different size fonts of different letters. I have a lot of mine that I keep in a multi-box, so it's like all different kinds of letters in each square, which I kind of like. So if I really wanted to mix things up, I could always grab that, but I'm not going to worry about it. But like I said, you can overlap these fairly easily. There we go. I love this Japanese ink. It's so good. There. And then what you can do is you can, because they have little lines and different areas where you can fill in with a highlighter, you can take one of your highlighters and fill it in and make it pop a little bit more, which is what I like about it too. Be careful because maybe the ink is not dry and it might run. So sometimes you need a little bit of time in between the stamping and the drying. And the drying. You can just go right over top. And yeah, I'm going over the pineapples. That's okay. I want it to be in the background. And sometimes there is no area for color, but that's okay. A little bit off there, you know. This is a nice chisel tip, so we'll go like that. And then here, I could probably use the other end of this because it does have a bullet point on the other side instead of the chisel tip. Too lazy, apparently. I'll keep track of your lids. But you see how it's just sort of, you know, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. I like how it turned out. It's very retro. It's, I don't know, it reminds me of Casablanca, or, you know, the postcards that people would collect when they travel and things like that. I miss those old black and white movies. They used to be on Turner Classics all the time, and no, they're not there anymore, but oh well. I could probably look it up online, but I'm too lazy. So there's that. And then I just do my edges. And then the back, you know, you put your spot for your stamp and for your little note and your address. There are some different ideas out there of how to mail cards and things like that. So you set it up in different ways. I like to do this like double messy line because it makes it look like it's a little bit frayed, and then I can add a little bit more color to the edge if I want to, just to give it that little bit extra, you know, in case it's not enough color for you. So I don't know, do I want to do pink? Yes, maybe we'll do some more of this. Lovely. Oh, you know what? We're going to use the other end because that is a little bit easier. Yep. Okay. And then you could just sort of fill it in there. I could do this, you know, the watercolor way too, but I want this to be a little bit more pronounced so that when you look at the overall card, it has more of a presence. It's okay if it's a little bit messy. There's nothing wrong with that. It just gives it a bit more interest, I find. You know, when you're rooting through old papers and letters and postcards, all the old ones look kind of imperfect, which is what I enjoy about it, especially when they've aged over time. And the smell of them, it's like, I don't know, it reminds me so much of cedar, and maybe because they hold them in cedar trunks. But anyway, so that is what I would tend to do. And then at this point, what you can do is you can decoupage it, or you could decorate it more if you want. But I think something simple like this is actually kind of cool. So yeah, like I said, you know, vintage postcards. How cool is that? I like them. I think they turned out well. I had a lot of fun with them. So yeah, make your own postcards. So I'm hoping this will help my correspondence a little bit more. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.